represent our earlier, culture, earlier how they were having the different kinds of, the way they used to behave with the others and their habits. Then they at that time what kind of attire or the dresses and the artifacts they were using, and what kind of domestications they were doing. There lots of things are there which will represent to the through these buildings and other things, which is actually a heritage. And our heritage comprises of sites, buildings, monuments, and objects in the museum, artifacts and archives. Many things are there. To define a country's heritage is all the qualities, traditions, or the features of the life there that have continued over many years, and that we have to enjoy and again pass on to the next generation is the heritage. And many times it so happens that whatever today we are doing may be the heritage for the tomorrow, and today's monuments will become the heritage of tomorrow. So that we have to keep it in mind. So for some of our heritage buildings, just I have mentioned, say in our Karnataka or other places like Hampi, Beluru, Halebeedu, Taj Mahal, Vidhan Saudha, our Mysore Palace, and in future maybe our Statue of Unity will become a heritage building, and the new building, that is the Parliament Vista, that is being constructed maybe in 2024, the first session of the Parliament, when the new team comes there, they are going to sit in the new building itself, and that is going to be a heritage building maybe down the line after 100 years or so. So the heritage buildings that we are building today should also be given the same importance what we are giving to the old one. Yeah, next please. Yes, so you can see the Mysore building.
Mysore Palace.
Palace, sorry. Yes, next please. This our Vedant Saudha. Next. Yeah, this is clear that Collegium building. Everybody is aware of all these buildings. Yeah, next. Yeah, this is what I was discussing about. That Parliament, new Parliament building that is going to come, and already our Vallabhbhai Patel's this thing. See, why I am showing these things? See, for example, that particular statue, represents the unity. How difficult was to unite the different princely states immediately after the British, went away from India. That was the most difficult part to unite all the princely states. And he was the man. He was always called as the Iron Man. I think everybody is aware of him. So he was actually instrumental or a key person as a home minister. He united all the princely states and make India as one entity. And that is the reason he has been depicted as so tall, and now he is the tallest statue in the world. So that is our heritage going to be in future. Yeah, next. Yes. Now, let me talk about our profession that is responsible in creating and maintaining such heritage buildings and monuments. Our architect friends are there. Does not mean we means we all inclusive. What I mean, don't differentiate between the things. Yeah, next please. Yes. The main parameters that have influenced the sustenance of these buildings withstanding vagaries of the natural calamities over several decades and centuries may be summed up as, the durability aspects, the material properties, strength and sustainable properties of the materials, then ease of maintainability. That is most important. If there is a high maintenance, the heritage buildings will suffer a lot and it will not become sustainable. Then geometry and the form. Geometry and the form are very important. Just now we saw that, see, our Vidhan Saudha and Mysore Palace and so many other things. This geometry plays a very important role, and our other friends are well aware of all these things. That is how the, one major parameter in heritage buildings. And then appeal and aesthetics. So that is also the most paramount thing by which we love to see it. We will get connected with that, and the affection will flow in the same manner. The common factor in all these things is when I talked about the durability, when I talked about the materials, when I talk about the strength, when I talked about the other related issues, the civil engineer is the one which is the most important input for any building. Take it for the design or its supervision or its execution or its maintenance, and he is the main person that he is going to maintain the building forever. Now, for any building to perform its desired service through its lifetime depends on the profession handling these buildings. That is what I was discussing. Whatever we are discussing about particular building, we should know the profession who is doing that particular thing. That profession also we should need to understand it, and what are the principles of that particular profession, what are the ethics of it, and what are the social responsibility of that particular profession. So from the earlier days, it is the core profession that is responsible for the restoration and retrofitting of these heritage buildings and the maintenance of these buildings and the design and contribution of the new buildings and monuments which are going to be the heritage buildings which I was mentioning just now. Yeah, next please. Yes. Safety, durability, sustainability of any civil engineering structure being the core domains of the profession, it is essential to understand the existing systems and appropriate modifications required to be implemented in the practice of profession is my total crux of this talk. What I mean to say is how the civil engineering profession is presently existing and what needs to be done. So let us understand under three main heads. One is the need to regulate the profession and the professionals. So that is why the need has arisen. Then adherence to the codal practices uniformly across the country. Now many of our, you may be aware that different codal practices are, codal provisions are there in different states, different cities and things like that. Maybe there are so many other parameters to that, but concerned with the other zoning regulations may be different, but the codal practice with regards to the other parameters like the structural or other part should not be different. Then understanding the civil engineering profession's contribution to the society and the country's economy is the most important. Why I am going to discuss about this particular thing is, to what extent is this civil engineering or the whole construction is responsible for the country's economy is also very important to know about it and then take the decision why that regulation is required. Yeah, next please. Yeah, look, now I would like to tell some of the existing problems that we are facing in the society, and because of these problems what need to be done will be the next, and then the economic standards and other things I will take. These things you have already seen, the building collapses, 5 stories building collapsed there, and how the, yeah, next please. And some of the findings that what we have actually taken when we visited there was, buildings did not have the soil investigation at all, and there was no mandatory construction by any qualified professionals. You may be aware that to build a building, there is no compulsion that it should be constructed by a particular qualified profession. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yes. Whereas when the building is constructed, to give a electrical connection, to give a sanitary connection, a registered plumber is required, a registered electrician is required. Am I right, sir? So this is the situation that is prevailing today. So that is what I was mentioning. No mandatory construction qualified professionals are required, and no mandatory structural design, earthquake resistant design. See, this is another very important parameter, earthquake resistant design. This I am going to discuss a bit more when I come to that Bhuj earthquake and other Turkey earthquakes and all the results that are coming in now. See, 2005 I believe, BBMP bylaws were about to be revised at that point of time, and from our Association of Consulting Civil Engineers, we were also called to the same Institution of Engineers hall here only, that big hall, and the meeting was going on. We asked 2 questions. Number one, they had made this provision of this earthquake resistant design only for the high-rise buildings and not for the low-rise buildings. And we asked, sir, whether that earthquake has informed you that it is going to come and hit only this high-rise buildings and leaving the low-rise buildings aside. That was the first and the foremost part. And similarly, there were so many other points. That particular point still they have continued. They have not actually modified. Our issue was, see, later on Bhuj earthquake happened. In 2001, Bhuj earthquake result came, and when the things were studied by experts, the most damaged buildings were low-rise buildings, for your kind information. The report says the low-rise buildings. Why the low-rise buildings was? Those are the buildings which were constructed without the involvement of any technical personnel. That means to say, high-rise buildings, normally what happens, high-rise buildings means they will take appropriate all the professionals and they will take care and they will construct it. But the low-rise buildings are the ones which normally will be done only based on the cost, nothing else. So is the cost. So that is one part. I will continue for another 5 minutes so that if it sustains, I will shift it over there. Let us not take risk. Yeah. Yeah, wait. Yes. Now, in the present circumstances, for any building, if anything happens, there is no mandatory, what I mean to say is, our professional responsibility cannot be fixed on anybody. So, what I mean by that is, professional practice is one part, the service is other part. You can book me if I done anything wrong in the design also as a service fault. But as a profession, you cannot take any action. If you debar me from practicing in Bangalore, I can go to Mysore and practice, I can go to Hubli and practice. But service is concerned, okay, if the faulty services are there based on the agreement and other things, that can be booked and you can be jailed, whatever it is there. But as a profession is concerned, there are no laws presently for civil engineers, what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Particularly, I am speaking about that civil engineering. So that is the situation prevailing right now. Yeah, next please. Yes, sir. These are a few more buildings. I think we can pass on next. Yeah, this is the Bhuj earthquake. See, this is what I have already explained. It was 7.9 Richter scale earthquake that happened on 26 January 2001. And some of the findings of that one mentioned surprising findings of the investigation include major damage in the building. 85% of the buildings had the damage. That collapsed buildings were in only G+4 and below. This particular point also now, Turkey also says the same thing. Turkey report is coming in. Unfortunately, I was not having sufficient time to include that particular report here. So what they say is, this particular, specifically with that Turkey earthquake, when I get an opportunity, once again I will explain this one. Based on the velocity and the acceleration and other parameters, that is more detrimental to the low-rise buildings than the high-rise buildings. Can you imagine this? So that is the report that is coming in. That means to say, our bylaws which have been framed only for the high-rise buildings need to think once again and need to sit and discuss what need to be done. So this is what I want to mention here. Next. Yes. See, in 2021, during the rains of, there were about 9 building collapses in Bangalore. Everybody is aware of it. And almost all the 9 buildings from our ACCE went to the sites, got the information, and we, made reports out of that. And few of the reports have been submitted to the government also, and few to the police department, because through whom the request came for the investigation. Some of them have been submitted to the police department for the submission to the court and all that. Right. In that, some of the major findings were all the buildings collapsed were of low-rise buildings. You can just, what I was telling, the same thing. And none of the buildings were built by the civil engineers. Does not mean not the architects, like it is. None of the buildings were by qualified technical persons. And no geotechnical investigation. They were not having any occupancy certificate or commencement certificate. So this is the way the construction is going on. That is how the things are. This is I think our Kempapura building collapse, and this is the Dharwad building collapse in 2009. Yeah, next please. Yes. See, now I would like to mention few of the things which may be very relevant to you and us. For example, this planning aspects are concerned. Bylaws drafted are ineffective in controlling the building violations, holistic planning missing, and more than 95% of the buildings are under violations. I am not just telling it bluntly. We had many student, internship programs that are going on through VTU, and we have conducted the surveys for many city areas, and we found that more than 95% of the buildings are under violation only with regards to the setback and the number of floors. If you go in detail, if they allow it, because again the backside is not visible, and FAR and other things, we don't know anything. Just by looking at and approximate measurements, and we are very sure because we take only conservative figures when we are taking the visual measurements or approximations. More than 95% of the buildings are violated buildings. You tell me any area, I will come and show it to you. I can challenge you to anybody. So this is one parameter. So that if 95% of the buildings are violated, then whether the bylaws are right or buildings are right is the question. And if you look in detail, I will tell you one small example why I am questioning this. See, stilt height 2.4 meter, correct sir? Yes. 7 feet 8.5 inch approximately. If a beam comes there in between, because if you ask more also they will not give you. It is limited to some 2.4 meter. And if a beam comes in between, say 2 feet beam, so what happens is 7 feet 8.5 inch will reduce to 5 feet, sir, 8.5 inch. After plastering and other things, it will be literally 5.5 feet. And when you call for inspection or you ask for the commencement certificate or the OC, he will say, I have given for 2.4 meters and the reduced depth, I cannot give you any ECC or OC. Sir, then how to make that slab to rest? That is your headache. Sir, what is the way out? Come to the office. So this is the way our bylaws are there. That is what I was mentioning. Yeah, next please. Yes, you have seen all this unscientific road geometry. What I mean by the unscientific road geometry, this is very small thing, but this is killing most of us. See, the road should have a camber on either side, and on once the rain falls on the road, it is supposed to flow to the drains on either side, not on one side or this side or that side. But if you see, I stay in Mahalakshmi layout and Basveshwar Nagar, that area. I have surveyed the buildings. More than 80% of the buildings, roads have slopes in only one direction. If you observe carefully, you will also find the same phenomena. Okay, this is point number one. Number two, if you find any side drains open or somewhere anything, you tell me. In front of my, again in the same area, I will give you a small example. Madam was telling about the smart road and all that, no? Yeah. That particular road, that white topping road has been constructed under the same smart city, this thing. See, for a distance of about a quarter kilometer, they have not provided drainage for the water to go into that. And instead of making the drain by the side of it, by the side of the curb or somewhere, the drain has been made at least 10 feet away from this particular curbing. You can imagine what kind of smart city concepts are being executed. It is not our fault or anything, it is the problem of the education there. So this is how the things are going on. So once the water becomes stagnant at one particular place, if it is not uniformly flowing, the water becomes stagnant. Once the water becomes stagnant on that tar road, the asphalt will easily come out from that and potholes will be created. It is very simple mechanism. The requirement of the quality or anything is not the issue. The issue is only the workmanship. And why the workmanship is not becoming, coming like this, that also there is a background behind it. I will explain it to you later on. Yeah, next please. If you can flash it. Yeah. I think this everybody must have seen. This is what we have mentioned is BBMP and BWG SSB are working together beautifully. So I need not have to say this. This has appeared about 6 or 8 months back in the WhatsApp media. So I thought I can make use of it.
Which one is the BBMP, sir, this video?
Next question. Yeah. So now onwards, I would like to speak about some of the issues that our system or the administrative system, that how it has been there in the total setup, and why I am mentioning that system failure issues. I am going to touch upon few of the examples, and this is the most important thing that we should know, why our roads are like this, why the bylaws are not able to be implemented, and all lies in this particular system failure, what the name we have given. Without professional regulation act in place, coordination amongst the technical bodies is worst in the state. Why I have given is, these two what they are doing, so supposed to be the professionals. So what I mean, they are not professionals, so one doesn't know what the other one is doing. So this is the meaning of it. Yeah, next please. So because of that, what is happening in the society, our civil engineering profession is getting the blame, and we are being trolled upon. See the quality, see the engineer, how he has done, and we are becoming the scapegoat. Yeah, next please. Yeah, see this Sivananda Circle flyover, some of the few examples I will first touch upon, and then we will discuss about what and how it has happened. Sivananda flyover. See, it was planned for the, from the conventional RCC to the steel, flyover, just to reduce the time. Instead of having, the disturbance for the public for about 4 or 5 years, they thought in 1 year steel bridge can be constructed, so flyover can be constructed. So the cost was increased by around 1.5 to 1.7%. I don't know exactly the amount, but the concept was changed to complete it within 13 months. But that particular steel bridge, flyover took 5 years to complete it. The cost also gone, the time also gone, and the agony to the citizens remains. Next please. Yes, everybody aware of the Jaydeva flyover. Jaydeva flyover recently demolished, and now they are making way for the BMRCL multi-stage, some 4 or 5 level, some things are going on. Sorry. When I came for the first time to Bangalore for the this consultancy work and other things I was doing, one of the site was in that HSR layout. I used to go very just by that Jaydeva flyover. Piling work was going on for that Jaydeva flyover at that point of time, and the same time the survey for the BMRCL was also going on at that particular junction. And for my curiosity, my friend, one of the friend, still he is there. He was there doing the survey work. He is still there with BMRCL. I asked him, if the BMRCL is coming here, it will be very comfortable. This, that, we discussed. So that is why I remember it very well. Maybe it is down the line about 20 years back. When that particular thing took place, see, government, that is, BDA was aware that BMRCL is coming. And BDA was doing the piling work. Okay. What happens after 20 years? The flyover was demolished to give way for the BMRCL. About 200 to 300 crores might have been spent at that point of time. Was it built only to serve for 20 years? This particular flyover, whose money they are playing? Remember, when we ask about the public money, we should be very careful that it is I always very stringent in telling that it is a middle class money, I say always. Because you know how the lower class will, depend on what they are depending on, and how the upper class will make, their money. So always I speak about only the middle class this thing. So this is another example. Next please. Yes. One more thing that was just passed out. outer ring road, Dr. Rajkumar Samadhi is there nearby. There is an underpass that has been constructed and halfway it is stopped. Many of you might be have seen that.
Yes, sir. Gorgunta
Outer,
next.
Near
no.
Rajkumar Samadhi entrance.
Continuous studio, yeah. Continuous studio road that will go and touch to that outer ring road now. There only below, from the Pinna side to come and go, they have started to make one underpass below that flyover existing. But it has been stopped halfway since 8 years back. It has been stopped. For my curiosity, about 1.5 years back, I asked some ward engineer at BBMP there, sir, what is this? They have stopped it since 4-5 years, and what is the matter? Then he said, sir, it is nothing to do with BBMP. It belongs to the BDA. It is okay, yeah, but what needs, why it has stopped? Then he said, sir, they started, but now technically they are telling that it is not feasible. Technically not feasible. So simple word for him. If it is not feasible in the technically earlier itself, how can you start it? Then point number one. Number two, I asked him how much money approximately it has been spent. Sir, ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಒಂದು 50 ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. 50 crores. 50 crores they have spent, they have stopped it, still it is in the same condition. Nobody can even, at least we used to fly very comfortably there. That also they have made it, to move around this way, that way and all that. So that is how the things are going on. Why I am mentioning here is, the coordination is not there. Then the decision who is taking, that also I asked him. Then who took the decision here? How can they take? Because all department engineers are well qualified, no? No, sir. Our political, you heard it, sir. Right? Everybody understands Kannada, no?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Now system failure. I discussed a lot about this flyover. Let us go next. Yeah, this I already dealt with. So this is the credibility that our civil engineering profession is suffering, and although it was avoidable, they could not do it. Next. Yes. Yeah, great. See, there were many protests. Even in 2021, in the month of November, we also made one walkathon kind of a thing throughout, Bangalore. About 2,000 to 3,000, members had assembled at one place, and we made a lot of awareness that so technical people should be part of your building, whatever small or big it is. Otherwise, one or the other day, your building will be in danger, and all those things. And see this traffic junction at Silkport, and the residents also protesting, and we have discussed about the potholes and all that. Next please. So the news that are appearing are more negative about our profession than the positive things. Next please. Yes. This is one most irritating thing that is always hitting my mind. See, whenever BMRCL plans something, they always issue the notices and send the information to all the government departments. So for example, you can see the date here in June 23, 2022, they issued this particularly, it has appeared even in the news media also, to all the departments that these are the lines where the BMRCL is going to come. The second phase, third phase and things like that, they have already issued. If anything, any development work is going to be taken place, you please let us know, or don't take it right now unless and until informing to us. Okay. Now the second question comes. Just yeah, one more. Yes. Can you recognize this photo where it comes? Okay. PES College to Nainhalli Junction, in between there is a road crossing. So that road crossing, that trees I think were peculiar, that small white, tall white flowering, that name I don't know. So that is the road, that is the junction. See, June 23rd they have issued the notice. The work from BDA started there for the level separation on December 1st. Can you imagine? December they started the work, whereas in the month of June only they have issued the notice. At whose cost? Nearly 20-25 crores have been spent by this time.
Even now the work is going on.
Work is going on, that is what I am telling. And they know that it is going to be demolished because BMRCL line is coming and getting connected near this, what is that, Sumanhalli. It is going to come connected to that Sumanhalli because again from Vijayanagara one more line is going up to this via that Magdi road, to which it is going to come and connect. They have already issued the notice. State government has approved it in the month of June only, and it has gone for the approval of the central government. But by the time BDA immediately took the decision to start that one, I don't know. Now there is still work going on. This is the way they are spending our money. We are talking about small, so many issues like sustainability and other aspects. And the government machinery doesn't know or doesn't care about our money. The way they are spending, if you save that itself, maybe in front of that, nothing is more important than this. That is what I believe. And last rainy season in 2022, in place of roads or in place of cars and vehicles, boats were flying. And this is the scenario. And how it has happened, why the roads became like that. Let me touch those things also next. Yes, this is one very important point that I got to know. There is a Edward Deming University in US. The findings of that particular university is whenever something fails, it may be infrastructure failure or it may be a factory kind of a thing or anything. What they say is 80% of the reasons for the failure are due to the system failure rather than the individual failure. So that we should keep it in mind. See, if I did something wrong, because of me some building has collapsed, it is not me alone you are supposed to blame it, you have to blame it to the system, because I am part of that system, and if I am doing something wrong, it is the system is allowing, so I am doing wrong. So that we should keep it in mind. Next. Yeah, next. So this is again a kind of water, soil, air pollution. See, one more thing I would like to mention here is that sustainability we were discussing a lot in the earlier, because before that I was not there, I only came for Madam's lecture. She was discussing more about the sustainability aspect. Even we learn a lot of things in that. But who is going to educate them in the field? Who? I will give you one small data. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation maintains one full statistics of our construction and the buildings data. According to that particular data, 95 to 98% of the houses are low-rise houses, right?
Yes.
Only say 2 to 5% of the buildings are high-rise. When this is the situation, and as I have already mentioned, all the low-rise buildings, not 100%, most of the low-rise buildings are not constructed by the qualified people. This is also another fact. 85% I was telling the same thing. When that is the case, who is responsible to educate our those constructors, those mestris, that there is a sustainability in this? You have to save this, you have to do this, you have to do that. How it has to happen? Because the field has gone to the wrong ends. It is supposed to be in the right hand, it is not there. We have allowed the encroachment in the field over a period of time. The way the architecture is protected, the way the lawyers are protected, the way chartered accountants are protected, this construction field partially protected by this one, another one has been left over there itself. And that is the reason now what is happening is that today's scenario, we can see the bad roads, we can see the bad buildings, we can see the bad layouts, floodings and things like that. Yeah, next please. Next. Yes, I think the first point I have already discussed by how the earthquake comes and hits only the high-rise buildings. And then one more parameter I would like to mention here is, whenever a selection of a tender or public delivery system appears, because I have attended for many of the competitions, see, the financial parameters also put in the technical bit. They say that it is part of that. But when it is called as a technical bit, technical portions only should have been there according to me, according to us. Whereas in that also they will put so many technical parameters that should have been satisfied. When it is called technical bit, let it be pure technical only, no? It is not there. So that is how they will manipulate the things. If this work is to be given by some particular person, amongst all you people, I can make only he can get this particular work. I can make my conditions to suit that. So that is the result of what the roads I was showing it to you, and how the flooding has happened, and how the works are being carried out. And to add that, the system failure what I was discussing, much more higher thing that is going to come later on, I will discuss it. Why no subject wise expertise? Yeah, you can, I don't know whether you must have observed this thing or not. See, in our private services, I call myself as a structural engineer, and they call themselves as a contractors, and he calls himself as a valuer. You may call yourself as a heritage architect. You may call yourself as a building architect. So you may be this layout architect. Something we call by our expertise. And if anything comes other than that, what we say? No, my friend is there, you please go to him. And the same case with the other professors. See, doctors. If I go to a doctor where I have got some skin problem, if he is a physician, he will say, my friend is a skin doctor, you please go to him. If I got some throat problem, he will send it to the ENT specialist. And if you see, they will recognize by that particular expertise only. But think about the government organization. Have they got anybody like sanitary engineer? Have they got anybody like irrigation engineer? Highway engineer? They never mention their expertise as I am expert in this or their designation into that. You know why? See, today he will be working in KBJNL, maybe somewhere in Gulbarga. Tomorrow he may want the seat here because we don't know. His boss may become a minister here in Bangalore. All of a sudden he will come to BWSSB.
Yes.
Right?
Politics.
And a BWSSB person can immediately go to port, Mangalore port. So things like that, you can imagine how worst it is happened over a period of time. If it is one part of it, the second part I will tell you. There are many mechanical and electrical engineers practicing in the PWD. Right? My PWD senior friends are here, they will agree with me. They are there. I will come to that in detail. I am not telling again, I am not against them. One of my friend is also chief engineer, still he is working, he is in Bangalore only. I am a good friend, he is my good friend. But there are different avenues available for them. They can go and join, whereas the government is recruiting their mechanical and electrical section. How many, this BESCOM, KPTCL, so many things are there, but still they want it in PWD to do the civil works. Electrical, mechanical engineer, for example, BMRCL is there. Many mechanical oriented industries are there. They don't want to go there. They want to be here in the civil works. See, this is the scenario that is existing today. And that is how I was mentioning you, the expertise is not being mentioned to hide all these things. And when 95 to 98% of the houses are low rise, why only mandatory involvement of all the professionals and only 2 to 5% of the buildings of the house? Okay. Next, one more thing, in the BBMP approval procedure, if it crosses, for example, say 5 units, it will go to the joint commissioner. You know, joint commissioner is a non-technical pool. Why the file should go to him? If it is a technical head, okay, instead of going to the ADTP, let it go to the deputy town planner. Yes, we agree. If it go to the director of town planner, okay, we agree. And if it exceeds a certain high-rise buildings, what they call it as certain height, certain number of apartments, it will go to commissioner. Commissioner is a non-technical man. How can he scrutinize the plan? That is our question. They have got the circular, it is available. So this is the system that is existing, and the technical parameters. They want the different part in that. So they have made all these regulations so that the file should go to him and they can do whatever they things they want to do. So that is the reason. Yes, there are no representatives. Many boards or agencies, there are some internal boards. For example, KHB, there is a board. A boardroom president will be there, then political, this MLA or somebody will be there, then this IS person will be there, all this board objects will, committee, yeah, those people. See, those people, but they don't have anybody from the practicing people. They have their own, coterie kind of a thing within themselves only. In the name of that, they will take whatever the person they want to have, some retired person, and see, they have to take a active person who is doing the work presently. That's not they are doing. What they are doing is, in their own field, already retired chief engineer, superintendent engineer, and things like that, they will make only from that particular who is close to their this thing, who can adjust to their terms. Because I have to blame like that only. There is no other way. Yeah, next please. Now I will come to this. How a stability certificate can be authorized to be given by other than civil or structural engineer? Stability certificate is the pure domain of a structural engineer or a civil engineer. In fact, doesn't matter, because some of the buildings too, after certain this thing, civil engineer may not be capable. Okay, it may go to a qualified structural engineer based on his this thing he has to give. But in the system, other personal, our friends are authorized. Architect is supposed to give that. How can an architect can issue the stability certificate? When I asked this question to the concerned BBMP official, sir, ಇದು ಯಾವತ್ತಿನಿಂದ ಆಗಿದೆ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಇದು. Sir, you are engineer, no? Sir, ನನಗೇನು ಕೇಳಬೇಡಿ sir. I will come to that. I have got the RTA replies. Next please. Yes. This is another paramount important, what can I say, is the system failure issue that need to be discussed here today. But don't blame me, I am not telling to 100% everyone, but in general, 75 to 80% of the people in our government sector, what is happening is, they are becoming incompetent because of the situation, because of the circumstances, because of the administrative setup that is existing there. They are also like us, but once they join the services, they will become incompetent because of the reasons I am going to mention here. Today are the days of outsourcing right from the survey, DPR preparation, estimation, feasibility, planning, designing, supervision, education, billing, even the issue of certificate, completion certificate, or the stability certificate, everything will be issued by the consultants. Outsourcing. Then what they are doing? Only the tenders are flown in their name, nothing else. And the bills they may finally sign. But bill preparation will not be done by them. Bill preparation again, consultants will be checking the contractor's bills. That's all. Yeah, next please. Yes. So what I mean is, no civil engineering knowledge is absolute in the present circumstances. To add this, I was just telling about that irrigation engineer can all of a sudden come and do the flyover business here. He can become a supervisor for the flyovers. He can do the pre-stressing. He can supervise that one. He has not done anywhere, but he can come and stand there. Neither their engineering skills are put to the competitive usage, nor the update is existing, because updating of the skills for the latest technology in the system is not mandatory. What I mean is, mandatorily they need not have to. They can just simply go on wherever it is. They can sit there, take their salaries. That's all. So that upskilling, what in the private sector and our other friends are doing is, every day if you don't know the latest things, then you will be thrown out. But that problem is not there for the government serving people. So that incompetency will come automatically. Yeah, next please. Yes, I already talked about. Yes. So I have got many examples for that actually I wanted to discuss, but I think the time is going up already, it is nearing 4. Yes, wait. This already I have discussed now. Next. Yes, there are few examples that happened. Maradu Towers in Kerala in 2018, 3 towers demolished, 14 stories each. Have you heard about it? So the approvals were given by the people there in the system. Next please. And Noida Tower recently in the month of July. So many apartments people came to the road. That is another. The third one, Morbi Bridge collapse. I would like to touch upon this Morbi Bridge collapse, what happened with the Supreme Court. See, when the judge was hearing the Supreme Court case, he asked one thing, why the bridge collapsed? Then the lawyer said, sir, the repairing was not done properly. Then why did you give the work to him? Sir, the tender conditions he satisfied and the guidelines he satisfied, and so the work was assigned to him. What kind of guidelines you have, what kind of conditions you have. When he is not eligible, he is a wall clock manufacturing, Oreva manufacturing company, you are giving the bridge to repair. What kind of systems, what kind of guidelines? So this is the system that we are having. These are the conditions which need to be properly set. Recently one heritage building issue came. Today morning when I heard, I was about to, come this side. In the morning actually I was closing this. Our A.T. Samuel, senior consultant, structural designer, flyover and all that he called me all of a sudden. Then he said, Shrikant, there is one peculiar issue here, you have to touch upon this. I asked him, what is this, sir? So then he sent some document. In that document, what has happened is, the restoration of a heritage building has been assigned to one professional. Whereas the condition of the structural conditions of that particular building, foundation, and then that cracks and other things, all that particular detailings are not at all available. But what the condition they have told to this man is, sir, you have to give the structural details, but you have to give the certification also, stating that the building will be safe enough. So when the particular work is assigned to certain professional, only he can give based on his professional, and he can give it to that particular agency. So here, restore and repairs of a St. John's Church heritage building work assigned to a different professional, and responsibility is from another person. How can it happen? Next please. Yeah, next. Yes. This one point you just mentioned. One more. Yeah. Here I would like to touch upon the professionalism that is prevailing in other professions. For example, when you talk about the different professions, banking is one profession, architecture is one profession, then chartered accountant is one profession, lawyers is one profession, doctors is one profession, Ayurvedic, Unani, nursing, many things. Okay. Now, when you go to a hospital, who will be the head of the hospital? Is a doctor. When you go to a university, who will be the head of that particular university? The expertise of that particular college. If it is an engineering college, one of the engineering professor will be the heading that one. If it is university, one of the scholar of that university will be heading that. And if it is a ISRO kind of a thing, then a scientist will be heading the ISRO. Under him about ISRO, for example, 15 IAS officers are working under ISRO. NAL about 4 to 5 IAS officers are working under him. They will be guiding different things like monitoring, then vehicle and so many things that I need not have to tell that. When that is the case, you see RBI also being headed by a person selected from the economists. It is then universities, medical facility, judicial, judges, then scientists. Yeah, next please. In that case, which are all these BDA, KHB, KHPC, BWSSB, DELT, BMRD, urban local bodies? What kind of bodies they are? What is the work of a KSP? What is the work of BDA? Just imagine, who is supposed to lead them? Our government service engineers are not asking for that. They are supposed, one of them should be leading them. I don't know. So this is the problem. This is where our people are actually taking a wrong decision because of this. And then the other problems which I told no already, Jaydeva flyover and other examples are happening because of this. Next please. Yes. One more is there. Yeah. See, this pothole issue is already there in the High Court. Correct? Yes. And there were, person like us will be telling to the media and all that so much has been spent for this, so much has been spent this year, and things like that, and people will publish that one, and the message judges also will read, it will come to them, and immediately one day the justice told, no, there is many different data are flowing in the media, you please submit the affidavit to the court that how much you have spent exactly for the pothole filling. So commissioner was supposed to send it by an affidavit. See, there are 2 affidavits that have been submitted in a very short period of time. The gap is approximately, the dates are there, but here it is not available, around 6 to 8 months or maximum 1 year. See, in one of the reports, somebody blamed that 7,000 crores have been spent. Then he gave affidavit stating that no, not 700 crores, it is only 120 crores, 119 crores. To fill up 35,000 potholes. See how much rate is becoming? It is 34,000 rupees per pothole. Sir, pothole size, you may be aware, pothole size how it is made is one particular size is there, and if it is bigger they will make it into 2, if it is much bigger 3, like that multiplication of that will go on. The size remains the same, and for the same size, and once again they have submitted a report, there it is 30,000 crore is spent over to fill 30,000, again the same DDMP, same commissioner, so same Tushar Girinath has submitted this. It is in the open. Every name and everything is available. See, that is coming out to be 10,000 rupees per pothole. What kind of system we have? In their own data, over a period of 1 year, so much difference will come. Imagine, this is the thing I am discussing about, and this information placed to the Honorable High Court within a very short time difference. Next please. Yeah. Yes, this is where I was coming to your points. Next. Yes. Good. See, my journey started long back. 2013, I had put an RTI to some of the government organizations, and one of them went to this Dharwad. Your place, sir. Dharwad. I had asked any mechanical engineers or electrical engineers are doing the works of a civil engineer. They have given officially the letter, you can see there. 14 mechanical engineers are supervising civil engineering works in the division. I took the number and other things and I called them, sir, what kind of civil works they are doing? They said quality control jobs for the roads and buildings. Next. Yes. Similarly, one more letter went to Hunugund, the Palkot district. There they have told here, Innobbaru DEINP, industrial production, ಮಾಡಿದವರು ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಕಾಮಗಾರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಹಾಗೂ ಕಚೇರಿ ವಾಹನದ ಉಸ್ತುವಾರಿಯನ್ನು ನಿರ್ವಹಿಸುತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. In these days, who will maintain the official vehicles, and to maintain the official vehicles, they are going to engage an engineer. What kind of answer is this? So this is the system we have. So I am telling about the failure of the system. Yeah, next please. Yeah. See, I had asked a similar question to the BBMP about provide the list of safety certificates as per Indian National Building Code provisions, that who will issue them, and any provisions or certificate, occupancy certificate. What they have answered is, ತಾವು ಕೋರಿರುವ ಮಾಹಿತಿಯು ಲಭ್ಯವಿರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಬೈಲ ನಿಗದಿಪಡಿಸಿದ ನಮೂನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಕಿಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅವರು ದೃಢೀಕರಿಸಿ ನೀಡಲಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. Stability and structural stability certificate will be given by an architect. That is what he is telling. Yeah, next please. Yes. He has again given enclosed one certificate also issued by an architect. We need not have to blame the architect here. The system has made like that. The intern, they must have taken the suggestion from the structural engineer. That is a different issue. We need not have to blame them. The system, we have to blame the system. That is what I am telling right from the beginning. It is a problem with our administrative system which has been totally collapsed with regards to this civic facilities. That is my concern. Yeah. Yes. Non-adherence to the building bylaws and codal practices. I think this I have already touched upon. Let us go further. Public delivery system also I have touched. Yeah, zoning regulations, certain things. I don't know, many of the parking floor height I have touched upon. FAR I think I need to mention about the things here. As the plot size increases, the FAR increases. You are aware, no? Correct? Yes. That means to say, as my pocket power is more, even my building or my facility also is increasing. Per square feet area, small sites, I can build only 1.75 tons presently. For 1 square feet, I can build 1.75 square feet build up. Whereas if it is a bigger plot like say more than some 10,000 square feet with appropriate roads, then I can build up to, for 1 square feet I can build 3.25 square feet. That means to benefit further to the higher class only. So that is also one of the things. That is why I am telling the bylaws are being framed by either incompetent this engineers or the people or the unprofessional engineers. That is what I was mentioning. Yeah, next please. Yes. I think this also I have already touched upon. Yeah, this NBC 2016 has come long back and still they are unable to allow how the sanctioning has to be done, how the completion has to be done, what needs to be provided, but they are unable to implement. Beautifully it has been drafted in part number 2 administration, very nicely, all the certificate formats are also given, but they are not able to understand and implement it till today. Next please. Okay. So this disasters, failures, what is happening is there is an absence of findings of those things are absence of involving the civil engineering professional in most of the cases. Next, encroachment by the non-civil engineering people. I call them as a quacks because government always calls them as a quacks. Whoever is doing, see medical professional, what happens is if Ayurvedic or homeopathic or anybody else doing a practice of allopathic, they will call them as a quacks and put behind the bars. So why not here? Here they are recruiting them and they are fostering them and giving the promotion and they are engaging them. Yeah, next. Government engineers are becoming incompetent due to the system problem. Then non-adherence to the BIS codal NBC provisions, non-implementation, absence of mandatory upskilling program in the government and private professionals, because in the private also it affects. Because of certain societies like this institution of engineers and ACC and things like that, there is a bit of upskilling, but not exactly for compulsory for all the things. It is only if I want I can join, otherwise leave it like that. Unprofessional practice in the government departments and organizations as well as private sectors. Yeah. Absence of mandatory design. Yeah, this I have touched upon. No mechanical engineer should, no mechanism to hold a professional responsible for the professional failure. So this is the thing which has totally responsible for our infrastructure failures and the situation today. Next please. Yeah, all these particular points lead to only one, to regulate the profession. And there is no single registration. If I want to practice in Bangalore, I have to register here. If I want to practice in Hubli, I have to register there. Mysore, I have to register there. But single point registration, fortunately in some of the states it is coming. In Maharashtra it has come. In Kerala, I think it has come. Regulations that need to be brought next. Yeah. What is regulation that I need not have to tell the regulation which is there for the other profession, same thing we are also asking. An act has to be passed. It is a regulation framed and enacted by the legislation of the state because law is a state subject and things like that. Everything has come here. Let me not read. Go through this. Yeah, next please. Yes, the GATT in 2001 itself, General Agreements on Trade and Tariff under this World Trade Organization WTO made a resolution and sent to all the countries, member countries, to regulate all the professionals so that from one country to other country the recognition becomes easy. Not only for the recognition from the other countries, even see when we are taking certain loans or some projects, IMF will be monitoring, World Bank will be monitoring. They can pick up certain people that these are registered people or regulated people can be put there for third party supervision, which was not existing there. And till today it is not there. And this is the thing. And India is also a signatory. They have not yet done this. Next please. Yes. Let us see where our civil engineering profession has been regulated and when. US started in 1934. Philippines, Canada, Pakistan 1976. Can you imagine? Next. Yes. A country like, say Sweden, such a small country, Costa Rica, not even one district of, smallest district of Karnataka, if you take, the Costa Rica is still smaller than that. They have done it in 2003. And we are the second largest employment generating, construction is the second largest employment generating sector. I will come to that. India is the fifth big economy and third largest construction in the world. Construction is concerned throughout the world, India is the third, and the economy is concerned fifth place. And whereas regulation is concerned, we are yet to get. Next please. Yeah, I will touch upon this later. Next. Yes. Yeah, I think I have defined this, how the profession is actually, see, doctors, nursing, advocates, chartered accountants, minimum qualification is set and everyone has to register there and then they have to practice their particular thing. Yeah, you can see it is getting late. Yes. So let us see in our country whether only our profession is not recognized or any other professions are recognized. You can see this. Indian Nursing Act came in 1947, Dentist 48, Accountants 49, then Architects Act came in 72, then Gujarat State Professional Civil Engineers Act came in 2006. It is the only act that came with regards to the civil engineers in India, that is in Gujarat State. Why it came was, in 2001 there was a Bhuj earthquake, and Bhuj earthquake's findings, I have already told you that civil engineers' involvement was not there in the low-rise buildings, and to accommodate that, they felt that the enactment of this regulation of civil engineers is required, and then they brought it in 2006. Yeah, next please. Yes. Yeah. I will take another 10 minutes, sir. See, when you now we discussed a few things about the economic parameters of the civil engineering. Economic importance of the civil engineering. Construction, I have already told you, third largest in the world. And real estate and construction put together, second largest employment generating sector. That means to say, after the agriculture, construction is the largest employment generator. Because of the construction, people are getting their employment. Yes. So, 50% of the planned outlay or the capital expenditure goes to the construction alone in every budget of the central government. When we talk about the capital expenditure, this capital, there are two things. One is planned expenditure, another one is unplanned expenditure. The planned expenditure, unplanned expenditure, I will tell you first of all, is reserved for things like failures like or pandemic kind of a thing, or cyclones, floods, droughts and all that. That is unplanned expenditure. Planned expenditure for almost more or less fixed. It is salaries, then this defense projects and all that. In that planned expenditure, 50% goes for the capital expenditure. What is capital expenditure? Capital expenditure is the asset creating expenditure. That is nothing but roads, infrastructure, buildings, housing, commercial buildings, and things like that. See, Government of India has planned to invest 100 lakh crores. You know what is 100 lakh crores? $100 trillion, you can say roughly. To build 7.64 lakh houses per month. And if you calculate in realistic terms, a house has to be built per second. And 167 kilometers of roads per month from the entire period from 2020 to 2025. And the funds are being flown in the same speed. Next. In last year budget itself, see that particular plan is something different from yearly budgets. Huh? Remember that. So that particular, the second point what I have told there is, from this bank loans and outside funds and other things, private, all put together it is coming so much. Whereas in the third one I am talking about that 23-24 budget, very recently our Nirmala Sitharaman ji has proposed 10 lakh crores. You know, prior to this it was only 6.4 lakh crores. So this year it has been, in the current year it is 10 lakh crores. What do you mean by 10 lakh crores? If you calculate in the real terms, this 10 lakh crores actually lakh crores, and that particular 30 lakh crores, if you calculate per civil engineers how much flow will take place for about 1.25 crores of civil engineers in India, around 20-24 lakhs per year. Yeah, next please. Yes, that is what I have mentioned. 31 crores per second or 24 lakhs per year per civil engineer. Next. When we talk about the GDP, normally the economy will be discussed based on the GDP contribution to the economy of the country. When we discuss about the GDP, you can just take two parameters here. See, all these things are available in the public domain. It is not something created by me. See, earlier one. Yeah, this is I think 2018-19 data, very well framed there. So that is why I have taken that one. On construction, it is 7.81%, whereas on the real estate and ownership dwelling units and private sector, it is 15.61. Put together, it is around 23% to the GDP, one of the highest. It is only the second next to the other one. And recently this data has come, it is coming to be 28.9%. That means it is the highest GDP contributor to the country. Next. Yes, this is what I have already discussed. The real estate and the construction together is the second largest employment. This available in the public domain. Now, when it comes to the investment part of the different sectors of the economy, there are few sectors which are basically major contributors to our Indian economy. One is agriculture, construction and manufacturing. If you invest 1 rupee in agriculture, it reflects a GDP change of 20 paisa or GDP increase of 20 paisa. Whereas in manufacturing sector only 14 paisa. Whereas in construction it is 80 paisa. Can you imagine how much difference is? Yeah, next please. Next. Yeah. This is increase in the income from the nearest, other sector. If the other sector is producing 1, this is producing 4.7 times increase in the income. Yeah, next. Employment. The other sector, the nearest other sector producing 1 point, it is 7.76 times for the same amount of investment. Yeah, next please. Yes. See, because of this, what is happening, today's civil engineering field is in doldrums. Nobody is willing to take the civil engineering. Salary is less, they have to work under hot sun, and everybody wants, good salary and things like that. You can see this every year 15,000 to 16,000 civil engineers are coming out from Karnataka state. You find no jobs. very recently, I think after 5 years or so, they recruited 600 engineers. Recently they, after 4 or 5 years, I am speaking about. So where they have to go? To tell you, all the basic, their potential is in the small segment, small buildings. That is what I was telling. 98% of the buildings are in the small. Only the potential is there, whereas that particular thing is not being tapped till now, and we are actually making them unemployed. Next, please. It is a complex situation where are the civil engineering jobs going? Because all the smaller segment, why we are not unable to grab them is somebody else is taking. Who is taking? You are all well aware. Next, please. Yes. The students are opting civil engineering course is reducing drastically, and in some institutions it is as low as 10 to 15. In some cases still low, I believe, I think it's single digit. Even in architecture it is reducing a lot. Nobody is willing to take. Then educational institutions, what to do? They may have to close down some of the engineering colleges. For example, PS has already closed the civil department. Then shortage in technical talent in the construction. No, what happens now is, this is being the, first of all, if at all somebody takes it as a last option. Tell me the top 100, anybody taking civil engineering course or this kind of a course? Nobody. Everybody will go for computer science, information, this, that and all that. So that earlier that passion was there. Yes, I want to become a civil engineer, I want to become a structural engineer, I want to become a town planner, something like that. Now it is not there. So the leftover, full at the bottom, somebody wants to, somehow I can become an engineer. No, I will take as a last option. So they are taking. That means to say that passion is not there. Then if the same situation continues down the line, say maybe after 2 decades or 3 decades, if some good structural designer or anything, if you want to search, you may have to go somewhere else. You will not be having any good talent available in India. So that is the thing I am discussing about. Yeah, next please. Then what is the way out? So set it right. Everybody is telling, sir, IT. Okay, yeah, IT is good, let them go. But you create the potential here which you have allowed it somebody to occupy your place. If you create that, next it starts flowing there. That we are not doing. We are still allowing there and making them to come. How can they come? They will not come. So that is what we are telling. Gujarat has already made, it has already shown the way how to do it. So let us do it in the same line without waiting for another disaster like what has happened. We should not wait till another disaster that happens here. Then we should, rise to the occasion and all that. Should not happen. So we are demanding to enact this bill and we are seeking everybody's support next week. Everybody's support to enact the Karnataka State Professional Civil Engineers Act as early as possible. Next, please. Yes, next we are about 30 lakh families of this thing, that is for the electioneering time. We thought we are 5 lakh civil engineers actually in Karnataka. If you consider the family members of that 5 lakh engineers, maybe 5 into 6 or something like that, maybe 30 lakh. If we tell that particular figure, we thought that the present government may enact the bill, but unfortunately that did not happen. The meeting itself could not take place at the right time, and I think that has been passed. Yeah, next please. Yes, although all the buildings are not going to be heritage buildings, our focus should be on producing the safe, durable and sustainable quality buildings. For all some of the buildings we construct today may become heritage buildings of tomorrow. Why I am telling this statement is, for example, the building that our Visvesvaraya stayed, now it is a heritage building, correct? The Kuempu's building in, what is that? Valley is a heritage building. Our Dara Bendre's building is a heritage building. Yes, that is also. That is what we are telling. Whatever the buildings we build, let us build it safe and sustainable. So then our World Heritage Day and other celebrations will be truly meaningful. With this, I think I have come to the conclusion. Thank you very much.